Hello and thanks for joining us. You're on Facebook Live here. We have, I'm Yonan Latu, the SCMP senior editor. We have with us a lady who needs no introduction, but let me introduce you anyway, Regina Ip. She's the chairwoman of the New People's Party. She's a lawmaker. She's an former executive councillor, a former security minister, and now she's running for chief executive. So, Regina, let's talk about that. Let me just be honest with you. Let me be so bold as to say, are you crazy? I mean, what's going on? Well, why are you running for chief executive? Look at the political atmosphere in Hong Kong. I mean, people are being hounded out of office. Look at what happened with the current chief executive. What's driving you to do this?
Because I'm a Hong Kong belonger. I was born and bred in Hong Kong. I benefited from Hong Kong's prosperity. During the high-speed growth era, I benefited from the education opportunity. And I noticed the younger generation, their opportunities seem more hemmed in compared to ours because Hong Kong has entered into a much slower growth period. So I want to give back to Hong Kong what I have learned from my studies in Hong Kong and overseas, from my government and political experience to help the future generations.
Are you fully aware of what you're getting into? I mean, you know the atmosphere out here right now, right?
Yes.
By the way, just for our viewers, we have rolling comments going on, and I'll be monitoring it across over there. So you already have a nice message there saying, "Hi, Regina." Like,
hi.
So,
hi. Thank you.
So anyway, just going back to this whole thing. I mean, I get the the idea about contributing, doing your duty, that kind of stuff. But we've reached a stage now where this society is so polarized.
It's the same everywhere. Look at the US. Right after Donald Trump was elected, California, there were calls for breaking away from the US, you know. Look at UK, how divided it is after Brexit. Or Europe, all the referenda going on. I think we are going through a global stage, global phenomenon of anti-establishment and anti-elite sentiments.
And you're willing to take it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, I looked at your manifesto in detail, and I have to say that so far, out of all the people who've been talking about the chief executive election, there's only two of you who've confirmed you're running so far, which is you and the retired judge, right, Justice Wu. But a lot of people have been talking. There's Carrie Lam. Carrie Lam is the chief secretary. We have the financial secretary, John Tsang. There's a lot of campaign-style talk going on. To be fair to you, I have to say, so far, the most comprehensive basket of solutions, suggestions, proposals that have come out of all the mouths in contention so far. Yours is the most concrete right now. I have to say that.
Yes.
But having said that, at the same time, I mean, look at some of the things that you're proposing, right? I mean, you have reviving political reform, you have reviving national security legislation. Now, that's something that drove you out of town, drove you out of office once. You're moving away from positive non-intervention. You're developing greenfield sites to create housing, land reclamation outside Victoria Harbour, but land reclamation nevertheless. You have importing labour. I mean, you sound like you have a death wish.
Well, you
Suicidal.
mentioned a lot of the taboos, so in Hong Kong politics, But any real leader must be able to overcome taboos. If you keep avoiding issues, you never get anything done. And that's why Hong Kong has been stagnating. The next leader, we cannot afford to have the next leader who just play nice. It's not good enough just to play nice. You have to grasp the nettle, take the bull by the horns, and put forward workable solutions, really to help Hong Kong people, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, I mean that is it makes sense, but again, offering concrete solutions, offering real solutions to Hong Kong's problems, I get all that, but what you have right now is it's not just that. It's people are not going to be impressed just by your solutions, no matter how practical and no matter how much sense you make. I mean, it's about an emotional connection with voters these days. The world has changed. The political atmosphere has changed. People's perceptions have changed.
But I think the EC members are experienced, most of them, probably, hopefully all of them, are professional, mature, sensible people who understand what it takes to make Hong Kong great again, if I could paraphrase other leaders, So they would not
Make Hong
be
Kong hate
making
again, or late you.
make Hong Kong great again.
Okay, I'm
You
just
know,
joking.
we have been a great Asian story. We have been part of the East Asian economic miracle. The World Bank has published a book about us among other Asian tigers or dragons. You know, I think we have enough sensible people on the election committee who would be able to make judgments, not just based on emotions.
Emotional intelligence, you know, the emotional. Tell us a little bit more about you. You know, we only used to Regina, the dragon lady, Regina, the iron lady. Where's the Bambi in you? Where's the teddy bear? I mean, is there, where's the soft side of you? We never see that. You rarely smile. Or when you smile, you don't seem to mean it.
Well, so I don't think we should turn an election of such importance into a smiling contest. Of course, I could smile more by popular request, but we have to remember we are electing a leader who can bring real change to Hong Kong, change for the better, you know, not just change for the sake of change. And it's not a smiling competition. But coming back to where I'm coming from, notice I'm the only candidate so far who have had ups and downs, you know, who have had failures, and who have learned from bitter experience to relaunch myself, you know. And I'm the only candidate so far, unless Zhang Yuxing will run, you know, who has direct electoral experience. And I am a politician in the real sense of the word.
You have a solid voter base, there's no doubt about it, which is why you get elected every legislature. You're, you know, I mean, queen of votes, the whole label thing, right? But we're talking about the geographical constituency election on Hong Kong Island for your LegCo seat.
Yeah.
Here we're talking about leading Hong Kong. Here we're talking about uniting people.
Yeah.
And again, we have the concrete solutions, we have the, you know, all the things that you think should be addressed. I will say that your focus on housing and land, you've decided that is the priority.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I think that is actually a step in the right direction,
Yes.
very much so. But at the same time, then you've revived national security legislation. I mean, that, again, you know, the way the public's going to see it, your noble intentions are there, but at the same time, you've brought something that they hate. Instantly, that's going to, you know, arouse derision.
A lot of questions about national security have been thrown at me in the past few days, but notice, both constitutional reform and national security, they are both our constitutional obligations, you know. And actually, I put them at the bottom of my political manifesto. I have to reiterate, my top priority must be to resolve Hong Kong's acute land and housing shortage, and also to honor our constitutional obligations, whether in regard to implementing universal suffrage or protecting national security. I see nothing fundamentally wrong about that. I understand people's concerns because I have dealt with this subject before, national security. I think I'm better positioned than all other candidates in assuaging the public fears.
We have a question there saying, one of our viewers there saying, are you fully backed by the liaison office?
Is that really important? I think it's somewhat ironical that while on the one hand, Hong Kong people keep stressing Hong Kong people rule Hong Kong, we want to express the will of the people, there's so many people second guessing whether candidates have blessing or the green light. All I can say is definitely I have no red lights, you know.
But I mean, you can understand why people are asking this, because at the end of the day, you know, we have a sovereign nation and decisions are made in Beijing for something as important as that.
Yes, and it's entirely fair and reasonable, you know. I'm confident I'll be able to win the support of all the stakeholders in this very important contest, including the support of my sovereign country.
Regina, what's different between you compared with, say, Carrie Lam and John Tsang, apart from the mandate? You're a seasoned politician now. You're not just a former bureaucrat or top bureaucrat, but a seasoned politician, which they don't have. They don't have the actual ground experience to attract votes and you know attract voters. Other than that, what are you offering that they can't? Because there's going to be direct comparisons, whether you like it or not. You're going to have to talk about these guys and how you are better than them.
This question is really too sensitive. It would put me in an invidious position, whatever I say. So I think I'll leave it to the voters eventually to make their judgment.
Let's get to know a little bit more about the real Regina Ip. For example, we'll go back to all the hatred and derision in the old days when you were trying to push for the national security legislation, and now you are going to come back to that again if you win the election. Your family, how much support do you get there? Let us know about that. Your daughter, for example, you said that she was there at your when you were launching your campaign.
Yes, she was there. Yes. In spite of her very busy job, sometimes she finishes at 3 a.m. In spite of that, she was there to support me. It's just that she was not recognized by the media. Good for her, neither did the media recognize a lot of the EC members from different sectors who were there to support me.
I know she was by your side during a really difficult time back in 2003, 2004. Yeah. This time, have you had any, has she tried to dissuade you from running? Which I would understand.
She fully supports my decision, although she also shares the stress that I'm going through, But by virtue of being my daughter, she has always had to carry the same burden. Even as a child, sometimes she was lambasted as the daughter of an unpopular minister. Unfortunately, there are pluses and minuses in being my daughter, and she understands it.
She's already got the experience, right?
Yes.
What about other people? I mean, family-wise, friends-wise, what kind of...
I have a small family. I'm a single parent. My husband passed away almost 20 years ago. I was raised by a single parent. My mother was practically a single parent, And so I understand all the problems faced by single parents and working moms, And I have had ups and downs. So I understand. I'm confident. I understand the aspirations of the people. I probably have had far more ups and downs than John or Kerry, because they have had a smooth civil service career. My family background is probably more varied because I'm actually half Singaporean. My great-grandfather left Pearl River Delta for Singapore as part of the Chinese diaspora. In that period, the late Qing dynasty, when a lot of the Chinese people in the Pearl River Delta were too poor. So my great-grandfather went to Singapore and made a fortune there, and then came back to buy land in the Pearl River Delta, and my father met my mother in Hong Kong.
So the Singaporean part of you, the Singaporean background, you must be an admirer of Lee Kuan Yew, right?
I think a lot of people are an admirer of Lee Kuan Yew. A lot of people admire him in the West. He is really a very powerful, insightful political leader. The last time I had dinner with him was after the Lehman financial crisis in late 2008 when he visited Singapore, and I was included in a small circle dinner with him. And I was very impressed by his incisiveness and his wisdom.
Is that where the hardline part of you comes from, where the tough love that Lee Kuan Yew used to go for?
Well,
are you going to bring that kind of stuff into Hong Kong?
Well, you see, Lee Kuan Yew was successful, and his son continued to be successful, not just by simple hardline, but by what he was able to deliver: stability, prosperity, and security. For the Singaporean people, he left a tremendous legacy.
We have a comment there saying you should look at the host to show how friendly you are, because you're looking at the camera the whole time. But anyway, so you can see the comments. But anyway,
I thought you asked me to look at the camera. Maybe I misunderstood you.
That's perfect. All right. You can see some of the comments rolling up. I won't even ask you to look back at it, but. There's a lot of hate out there, right? I mean, I'm used to it as well. I mean, when I write articles that don't go with the whole pro-democracy, CCP is evil narrative, I get that kind of stuff as well. So I have an inkling of it. I have a taste of it. But you must get a whole lot more. How do you deal with that? How do you? I
get hate. I also get love. People who hate me I try my best to understand where they are coming from. And I can understand the reasons for a lot of the youth anger, you know. Because I think their prospects are less good as people of our generation. They face a lot more competition. You really have to work harder to get what we secured in our time. But the possibilities are there if we pull ourselves together. Yeah.
You said you've been a single mom for so many years.
Yeah.
I think I remember you, I don't know how much of it was in jest, but you're talking about you're looking for a boyfriend. How, the love life-wise, how do you deal with that?
That was a joke.
That was a joke?
That was a joke.
But I mean, are you still open for romance? Are
No,
you?
no, too late.
Too late?
I wrote about it at Stanford too, because all students were asked to write about girlfriend, boyfriend stuff in our Japanese class. So I had to make up some stories. You know.
So, I mean, you're prepared to be single now for the rest of your life?
Wow.
It's a lonely life.
No. Well, I have a lot of meaningful work, you know, and I'm past the age of romance.
All right. Well, I think we'd better leave this on this note. I think you're a busy woman. You have to go to other
Yes.
places as well.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for joining us. You've just been watching Regina Ip, who's running for Chief Executive. Regina, all the best.
Thank you.
You're going to need it.
Yes, yes, thank you, thank you.